This is Stay Under. There's this additional pressure we all face from, 10, 9, 8. I keep going to descending order. It's crazy. But we face that pressure to answer questions that we don't fully understand. Questions like, what's he going to be in the future? Do you want to get married one day? Do you want to have kids? Or some people don't. They don't ask you if you want to have kids. They ask you, how many kids do you want to have? What country are you going to live in? And you're asking people who barely understand the world from such a young age, such important and heavy questions. And these kids are supposed to have the answers. And you go into your teenage years and the same questions are being asked, but your answers change a little bit from the silly answers you had then. I don't know, be a fireman, be this or whatever, be the president. And they start to change into a job. I want to be a CEO, or I want to work at a bank, or I want to be a doctor. And then those same questions are asked again at 18, at 21, at 25, at 30, at 35. But at 35, this question is not asked from a place of curiosity, they're asked from a place of knowing. Almost like you should have figured your whole life out for the next 40 years at 35. At 50. No one even asks you at 50 what you're doing or what you think you're going to do in the future. People ask you what you've already done. Like what you've already done is all that matters, and there's no future to look forward to. But there's a lot of pressure that's placed on people's shoulders from such a young age. Such heavy, important questions. And how do you even answer questions like that when you're living a life that hasn't fully unfolded yet? There's so much life to live. There's so much to discover within yourself, and there's still so much in the world to discover. The greatest secret, I guess, that anyone can ever know about themselves is that the greatest wealth lies within. What does that mean? It means the tap that will free you from whatever your situation is, the path that will open up even more paths to you, lies within. There is no greater asset than creating from a place internally. It's one thing, and in anything it can be, even if you're in the oil and gas industry, obviously your product is whatever it is you're drilling is oil, and yes, that's an external product, but the internal is being able to run a business that's efficient, being able to run a business that I can guarantee that brings you money. That's still internal assets within yourself that you must develop to build an empire, a kingdom. But that's not the point. The main point is the pressure you face from such a young age that keeps building and building and building. And then you start to get sucked into something you don't truly even know you want for yourself. But because you want to have good answers to questions and present yourself a certain way, you put yourself down in a path that just never really belonged to you, just so you don't stand out or come off as unserious or a bum to people who also are trying to figure out for themselves, but rather present like they have it all figured out. Your deeper self knows that creation is what frees you. And yes, we all go on the path of protection, looking for the safest thing possible for ourselves, so we're not so vulnerable in the world. But in looking for protection, We put ourselves in a box automatically. Because now you're protected, but you're also completely limited. And that's why your greatest fear now is getting promoted, rather than trying to look at ways that you can create even more and approach even more people. And so the more people, you have more eyes on whatever it is that you're creating, whatever it is that you're building. Your greatest fear is now getting promoted at a job. How is that a life worth living? Respectfully. Whenever you choose alignment over approval, you're stepping off the map you were handed as a child. Most people are trapped in 3 loops: survival, ambition, meaning. For survival, that includes the fear, the security, the need for security, the money, the validation. For ambition is proving, achieving, competing. For meanings, asking why after achievements loses taste. To the person in survival, you have to show that person that ambition is a safer, bigger container so they can grow. For the ambitious, it's showing that meaning makes achievement sustainable. For the seeker, you have to show that surrender is not giving up, it's growing up. And getting someone from survival mode into ambition is so tough, because that requires you to be vulnerable and to let go. Getting someone to understand that their ambition may have brought them all this material things, but there's a greater why to everything that we do. And the why may not be pretty, the why may come from some form of trauma. It's like with Oprah, for example, and her abusive childhood. She wants on to create, and she creates, but the reason for creation is one that we don't know. I can speculate, but I'm not going to speak on, at least initially, I'm not going to speak on what it is today, but initially, it would have been for freedom and for control, so she can never ever be in a situation where she feels like she's powerless. But you create from that sense of pain. Same with Tyler Perry, from that sense of pain, and Will Smith, from that sense of pain. But after a while, there has to be a greater why to what you do. Because what's the purpose behind your actions? And without examining what the purpose is behind your actions, how do you understand yourself and your thinking? And how do you understand where you're trying to head to? We have so many people who are just living lives and they have no real destination in mind. If there's no destination in mind, then where's the direction? How does that work? I'm a very ambitious person. And in recent months, I would say for the past year actually, I've questioned so much about my ambition and why I have this need to achieve this and achieve that. And in questioning it is I've seen the ugly side of it. The ugly side is so dark. And yes, it's so innocent because it's like a need to belong or a need to be validated in some way. And it doesn't have to be so terrible, You can use that as a power, as a tool for yourself, to build yourself. But in understanding that, it has taken a whole different meaning for me. It no longer feels so like such a desperate need for this. It feels a lot more authentic now. It feels a lot freer now. And the pressure placed on myself, the pressure people have placed on me just carries no weight on my shoulders because I understand my why now. And in understanding my why, I understand my direction and my destination. Because why give a lot to someone who doesn't even know what they're doing or why they're doing what they do? It's almost like you're living a life that you've been told to live to protect the childlike version of yourself, just to finally live that life and you realize that it's been nothing short of a waste of time. And the greatest way to motivate people to see that part of themselves is not to try and force that level of thinking on them, but it's just to live your life the way you want to live it. There's a book called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And in the book, it's about a bird, by the way. Like, I can't remember what kind of bird it was, but it's about a bird. And at the beginning, he's supposed to live the basic life, find the food, the fish that's around you, and we don't fly past this certain point, and it's all you're meant to do. You bring it back, you go back, you do the same thing every fucking day. It's like just looking at Excel spreadsheets every day of your life. But he was always had a bigger dream. It's always been something that separated him from the pack. Something that was always unique. Something that just never really felt right about the way they were living. And with that in mind, he felt a need to go beyond the limits that was placed on everyone. So he pushed and pushed and pushed. He tried to fly, he fell. He kept falling, kept falling, kept falling, kept looking stupid in front of his family, in front of the people who have seen him grow his entire life, in front of people his age who kept laughing at him. And he was a disgrace to his own family. His own parents were like, why are you doing this? And this is a bird, but it just tells you the different perspectives, because I think sometimes we look at animals and we just kind of think that's just the regular animal. I remember a friend telling me one time, I think I killed an ant, and he was like, bro, like, man, that ant has a family, bro. Like, the family's gonna be looking for him tonight. It's just knowing, and outside a while they'll be like, damn, like, dad is gone. Dad is gone looking out for food, but now dad is never going to return. That shit is crazy to think about, that animals really live their own life that in a way kind of mirrors ours. You go out to look for food and now you don't return home to your wife or kids, bro. That's crazy. But anyway, he was just telling me that, and I remember that. I was just like, whoa. But anyway, like, he's a disgrace to his family. But that doesn't stop him from pushing on. The discouragement they tried to give to him, the words they try to bully him into accepting that life, telling him it's not possible for him. But he kept going, he kept practicing daytime, nighttime. He just didn't care. Until one day he figured it out. And they all watched him fly higher than they ever thought was possible. So he explored the horizon and kept going further and further. And in doing so, he met other people, or other birds, He met other birds who were flying as high as he was. And he was like, whoa, I didn't know there were other people out here that are living this way as well. And they were like, yeah, like, you're not the only person who had bigger dreams. You're not the only person who thought this could be possible. We achieved it. And behind him, where he could see the other birds who probably wanted to try it, but were afraid to step out of line. They were afraid to stand out. Who were now trying and failing. And it's crazy to think about, because even in the real world, like, it only takes one person around you to tell you that it's possible. And once it's possible, the fear that you felt originally is gone. Now, when he found other birds that could fly as high as he could at that time, he enjoyed it. But he knew even higher was possible. So he did that all over again. He practiced, and he went higher. And going higher, he met another set of birds that were at that level. And now he's learning a whole bunch of tricks that he even know were possible. He's learning a whole bunch of things from the OG birds. OG birds, that's great. But he's learning a whole lot of things from the OG birds. And that's really how I see our lives as well. You're a creator for a job. Like, we need to get that out of people's minds. Like, they have done such a good job in convincing us that this is what life is just meant to be for to eternity. And it's fucking crazy. We're all made to fly as high as possible. We're all made to inspire one another. We're all made to motivate one another, to be there for one another. Now, obviously, we know how humans are, so there has to be a limit to the amount of trust and time you give someone else. But at the same time, nothing is stopping you from trying to fly high. If you're surrounded by people who kind of look at you a certain way for trying to do that, then you have your answer. You don't need to fight your answer on whether you should do it or not do it. Your answer is clear and it's simple, bro. It's time to move away. It's time to find other people. Because it's crazy the amount of growth you can have in this short time around the right people. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. The increase is crazy. And that's the goal. The goal is you fly high, others fly with you, and you discover more people. You find new people who give you tricks, you teach them a few things, and you fly even higher. And there is no limit to this thing. You just keep going until one day we die. And in doing that, you leave behind a legacy that you never ever thought of, really, which is also part of my conversations with myself and my wife or ambition. It was that I thought legacy was such an important thing. Man, it's still important to me, I guess. But it wasn't important to me for the right reasons. It was important to me for material, or not material reasons, sorry, for service level reasons. Almost because I needed to be recognized and respected. And it's like, bro, that should not be your focus when you're trying to build something. That should not be your focus. If you're listening to the podcast, it's not just about listening for the sake of listening, and I hope that's not the case. But the point is for you to find yourselves, not to find people to admire you, not to find people to love you just because of what you do, but for you to find yourself in all this, in this mess of life. My main thing with the podcast is not to force excessive beliefs on people or to force you to follow a certain way of life. My main thing is for me to translate my inner experiences and hope that it can act as a mirror for people to see themselves and then improve themselves. You know, there's lots of resources out there, there's lots of content out there in the world that kind of kills your spirits, and I just personally feel like there needs to be more out there that builds you up and lets you know that you're seen and you're not crazy. You know, like the decisions you're making may seem crazy in this wild world because of just how many people are sucked into a script. But you're not crazy. But I can't force you to see that you're not crazy, and I can't force you to follow a certain path. I also don't actually care, to be very honest. All I can do is to live my life the way I want to live it and hope that in living my life, people can see something in themselves, in me, through me. And with that, they run with it to do something crazy themselves, do something wild for themselves, build something that really outlasts them, that benefits other people as well. Not because that's their aim, but because all they want to do is to release everything within themselves. When I was one of the stories I'm studying right now is the Ogilvy story, great marketing company. And the thoughts that this guy was 38, he built Ogilvy is a major marketing company right now in the world, one of the biggest. And I thought that the guy that built that company in the 70s or 80s or whatever it may be, he started it at 38 years old, no experience prior to marketing. He was unemployed at the time. I believe he had £5,000 to start it off with. He had nothing but courage and a thirst for knowledge plus hard work, which then led to luck. And down the line, you're looking at a company that has reshaped what marketing is. He had one of the famous ads for Rolls-Royce, which is one of his first few clients, if not his first. And the ad was, the line was what, the loudest sound in this car is the clock. And he got that line from reading the manual, the Rolls-Royce manual, the car manual, read the whole thing. And he found that line. That guy had no prior experience in marketing, nothing. So there's no set path on how you do things. There's no set procedure. There's no steps that everybody must take. Right? It's just you. It's just you and you alone to figure this thing out. And many people have done it before you, many people do it after you. There's no reason to be afraid. There's no reason to be concerned about how people perceive you. Again, like I said in the last episode, most people are going to come and go and live very insignificant lives. They're going to live very, very average lives. And if they have a great amount of success, there's still lots of these guys that did nothing but just follow the script. And because they're following the script, they have this need to humble other people that they don't believe are following the script because they want to make themselves feel better. And all of that is fine. It's all fine. It is what it is. It's not your job to concern yourself with the opinions of others. Your real responsibility is just to build your own life and enjoy your life. And to flow with the adversity and the good times. It's all part of one thing, just life. It's just life. That's just what life is, bro. There's no deeper reasons. Sometimes we look for the most deepest reasons to understand life. And sometimes life is just doing what life does. It's just fucking with you. Every week that it can. But you should find meaning in something you do because it gives you a purpose. So when in your life are you still following the safe road? Who are you with that feels safe but is not right? Are you doing a job that feels safe but is not right? Don't quit your job immediately, bro. That's not my advice. My advice is for you to figure out something else that you love doing long term and make a strategy to get yourself there. Things take time to build. That's one thing that social media has kind of deceived us into believing that it's not true. But things do take time to build. And a good strategy will get you there. Hard work will get you there. And luck is important. Luck is so fucking important, bro. But you can only be lucky if you stay in it long enough. Imitating a life you didn't choose doesn't lead you anywhere but to death. And not like the natural ending of life. I'm talking about death of your soul, of your spirits, of your joy, of your excitements. Without any of those things, then what do you feel every day? What's the point? There's so much to love about the world. There's so much to discover. To do any of that, you have to be willing to step out of line. Fuck the crowd. The crowd don't even know where they're going. They're all this blind leading the blind. It's the blind leading the blind. Why the fuck would you be part of that? Take an elevated view and look at just how beautiful the earth can be. But the elevated view was supposed to be for everyone. Unfortunately, it's not going to be. So make a decision of where you want to be, on the ground or in the sky. Either way, commit to it. Live your life. Build your life. Love yourself before you can love someone else. And fuck the noise. Thank you.